Yeah, we've been talking about operation excellence, and we have been talking about great customer experience. But if we don't get it out, if we don't, if we only test and don't get the change out in all the stores, we don't have any value. So now we will talk about execution, right?
Yes. So we welcome now Linda Johansen-James, CEO, International Retail Group, Christian Haeger, VP of Global Industry Lead for Retail, CGI, and Anna Friedlander, Strategic Executive, Apparel, Footwear, and Retail, Infor. Round of applause for everybody.
You grab a mic and turn it green.
It's green.
I feel I have like a red head here.
Welcome, guys. And let's start with you, Linda. And I'd like to begin with congratulating you of your nomination to the Retail Top 100 this week. Yes, let's use that as a starting point to tell the audience what you do and why are you one of the Retail Top 100?
Well, I'm not really sure, but anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's really nice to meet you. It's nice to put in person. So hello, everyone. My name is Linda Johansen-James. I'm the CEO and founder of International Retail Group, and I also publish a global retail magazine called IR Magazine. I kind of do a lot of stuff. It's really hard for me to say exactly, but I think the gist of what I do is I help brands and entrepreneurs that are traditionally direct-to-consumer brands or brand new entrepreneurs to test and launch in retail. And I do that from their site selection to lease negotiating to writing all their ops manuals and helping them hire and train their employees. And if they need me to help them by really mentoring them through the retail process, because even if you're a well-known brand, sometimes it's really tough to navigate what's happening today. And so that's what I do. And from the top Retail 100, I'm actually really blessed to get that designation. I think it's because I work with entrepreneurs and brands that are all over the world. I speak at retail conferences, and I've been in retail, well, I really will give away my age, but over 30 years. So, and I'm thrilled to be here, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. It's lovely to have an international voice. And so you work with many different brands, and with what's happening out there. So can you just give a short brief of what's happening out there?
Well, I think it's really exciting, as most of you know, but I think it's also really nerve-wracking. I mean, there's so many changes happening today in retail that whether you're a long-term brand or you're someone brand new that's just starting, you're like, oh my God, where do I begin? How do I implement AI? Where should I do a pop-up? Should I do a long-term lease? I think there's really a lot of challenges out there on where they should be, what they should do, and how they should do it. So I try and coach them and help them through that process. And a lot of them are really nervous, even some long-term retailers with stores that are closing and malls that are closing and all of the things that are happening today. So I think it's a really difficult period, but it's a really exciting period because we always go back to the industry that we're in is about people. And whether they're the people that you work with, your team members, or they're your customers, we've kind of forgotten how we got here. And so everybody's talking about, well, let's take care of the customer. I'm like, well, haven't you been doing that all along? I mean, we just heard talking about the ROI and the bottom line. Well, if you don't sell anything, you're not going to make any money. And it's the people in the front lines that do that. So for me, it's about not going back to where we were, but remembering how we got here.
What do you think separates the good ones from the bad ones, let's say?
Well, not saying hi, welcome in, first off. I'm serious. How many of you hear that? I mean, from a customer perspective, we heard it today, like multiple times. Listen, it's an interesting place for us where we're at, right? And I think if we all really remember why we love retail and why we love the fashion industry and why we love doing what we're doing. It's really that simple. And I hate to say that, but I think seriously.
And I want to bring you in, and you also have, like many here, a background both in retail and now you work in tech. When you kind of advise the industry, like where do you see the challenges? Where is the kind of frustration or friction when it comes to kind of strategy and execution?
I think it comes in many places, right? Similar to Linda, I'm going to say, we're only going to say over 25 years, but yes, we're dating ourselves. But I think it comes in many places, in many aspects. One of the things that I bring to the table, similar to Linda, is we've gone through changes, very quick changes. A lot of the organizations right now don't know how to grow with those changes. And I think that is the biggest main challenge that I see in the industry. I will give an example of a company I work with. When I first met them, they were 120 million. In 2 years, they went from that to 1.4 billion. And the change and the challenge that they had was, one, beating their competitors, and second, managing their own business to growth. They were still running as a $10 million company and didn't know how to actually take advantage of technology. And this is where, and I'm going to say resources, I'm going to call us resources like us in the industry that have been both in technology and retail come into play. Because we've grown with companies, we've grown with technology, and we're actually stepping up to the table, advising some of the organizations out there how to grow with technology. And I always call it, I learned it from a colleague of mine, a North Star. What is your North Star? And once you're able to articulate it in your business, what your North Star is, it is easier to not do the change management. I wouldn't call it change management, but also get your team to work with you.
Great. I have one question.
Sure.
Because we have been talking about these silos and we talk about technology. And,
We have no silos.
no silos, no. So, because when we talk about data driven and you have this data layer on top of the silos, how do you advise the organization to like break down that silos and understand the whole?
So the interesting part about that, and the most common mistake we see, and it's, I wouldn't say like every organization, but most of the organizations, is they don't know how to assign ownership. And the silos are your teams, right? You have, and earlier you had the speakers talking about the design teams, the sourcing teams, the merchandising teams, and the possibility that all of those teams and departments are actually working with different tools outside of the main system that is supposed to be doing the work. So one of the things that I think is a key component to breaking that down is having somebody accountable for each of those departments, them understanding what data is needed. We're talking about data, and that is very important. What data is needed. And with that data, understanding the standardized approach that North Star is supposed to be bringing. And with that, you're going to lessen basically the use of outside tools. I mean, I'm going to ask a question. I'm sure everybody's going to say yes. How many people are using Excel to do something else that they're not supposed to? We see it every day, right? But you have systems in place that are supposed to be doing the work, and not everybody's taking advantage of that. And so the North Star, the objective of the company, assign accountability and responsibility, and also show that by having that, you also are going to be able to use that as an initiative for change. I hope that answered that question. That was long.
Christian, I want to bring you into this as well. When you hear the discussion about this kind of balance between you need these tools, right? You need the data, but there's also an organizational kind of shift that needs to happen. What do you see? How do you advise your customers, and Where do you see that change?
Well, as we've talked about, we all want to be data-driven, and it's extremely complex questions, and there's a lot of change. So where we start is always to look at I mean, I think Stefan touched upon this before. What is the purpose of the company? What sort of target groups do you have? What assortment do you have? What is your strategy? How do you want to deliver your products? Are you going to be just brick and mortar, or are you going to have an online service? And how is that service going to be? And you go down to the details. How will the click and collect work? Where do we deliver? How do we just serve customers? And always, as you've said, the North Star is, how do we serve the customers and with what products and services? And start by that. And to sort of sort out the topic of the silos, which is in there, just make sure that all departments working with this have the same view. These are our target groups. This is our assortment. Of course, if you have the assortment of Stefan, it might be in one way simpler, but on another hand, quite a challenge as well. And then we have a framework that we call data-driven retail, where we've defined a number of areas where we think clients should focus.
But talk about that. And how do you data is often used as kind of content or compliance, but can you talk a little bit about how it drives kind of conversion and margins and these more tangible upsides, let's say?
Yeah, I think, again, we come back to customer data and customer experience. And I think, how many of you are part of loyalty programs where you get messages that you don't always find relevant? Hands up. Yeah. So I consider you all. We actually did, 10 years ago, we started a study at our previous company to look at loyalty programs. We had to do a follow-up because in 2017, all retailers, including some large fashion brands, all said, we're going to work more with relevance, personalization. And the emails I got were still the same. Things that didn't matter to no one actually asked what I was interested in or looked at what I had purchased. And we did a follow-up study in 2021. I still get those irrelevant emails. And now I think it's time to change that, because now technology will help us. But when we look at data-driven retail, first of all, I think it's supply chain, to know where you have your stock, what will you have in the stores, when will it arrive, when can I serve a customer. We probably all also experienced, you look at an item online, oh, it's in that shop, I'll go out and buy it. We've done this for Christmas shopping, me and my wife. We had to go to 3 stores, and when we looked online, they all had this item for our daughter, so it was obviously quite important, in the right size. But when we arrived, we got disappointed. So that inventory accuracy is very important, and it goes throughout the supply chain. That's the starting point, as I see it. I could talk about this forever, so I'm stopping there.
I do want to add to that, though, because you brought in the inventory accuracy. I think that's really where a lot of not just data, but AI, Gen AI, and ML is making a play, where it's going to be very advantageous for organizations in our industry, retail, fashion, apparel, footwear, especially when more people are doing global. So the balancing of global inventory is difficult enough with your regular systems. So using the data on all of the whether it's same ERP, multiple ERP, composable systems within one, using that data in order to help you balance it and be able to supply you for your daughter's gift, no matter what store you come in. And this is one of the biggest things that we're seeing right now in the market and with the customers, that as well as forecasting your inventory.
Well, and I think from my perspective with new brands and new entrepreneurs, that forecasting is really difficult. So I think bringing in AI, I have a client now, she's opened 2 flagship stores, and honestly, she has more inventory. She has warehouses full of it. And I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, let's implement AI and really understand. There's so many retailers that are doing that well now, like Zara. I mean, look at what they do with how they forecast their inventory. But I think so many times they don't really understand how technology could really free you up to do the things you really need to do when you take care of the back of house. And one thing what you just said about not finding the gift, this omni-channel retail, you must be that way in today's marketplace. I went into a large big box store during Christmas, and in all honesty, on my way out, I was shocked at the sign. It said that if I wanted a better experience, shop online.
They told you that.
No, it was on the door, on the way. Now,
Wait,
how
which
many of you
store?
would keep shopping there? I'm like, well, why the hell would I want to shop online? I'm in store. I had to literally, I was mortified. I literally, I hate to say this, but I did a post on it on LinkedIn. It got like 50,000 views because people are like, you got to be joking. And I'm like, no. So I think to what you said, if you have it online, you better darn well have it in store. And don't tell people that you want them to shop online instead of in the store. Because old people like me like to try things on.
No, we like to touch fabric.
We like to touch. Okay, all right.
And speak with people.
We like to touch and feel. We're
Experience,
seriously. So anyway, I was mortified when I saw
But wrapping up, I want to ask a question to all of you. And like looking ahead to this year, we talked about there's so much things happening. What are one or two things that you think retailers should focus on? It could be AI, it could be data. Give us the short answer. Anna.
Quick one, unified solutions. Just one straight answer.
Christian.
Just yourself, imagine that you are a customer. So just think as a customer. We're all customers and consumers. Be on that other side. So focus on the customer experience. Still valid.
people, customers, and the people that work with you.
Linda Johansen-James, Christian Haeger, and Anna Friedlander. Round of applause.
Thank you.